you have a little girl's t-shirt in pink glitter that says showgirl. Again, that ties into the message that girls need to be concerned with their appearance and realizing that others are objectifying them. They're always on display. Now, as we look at the furnishings and the decor of children's bedrooms, we will always notice more times than not that little boys' rooms are always designed with very bold colors, and they tend to have decorations that depict action, speed, and competition. So in this image, you're looking at a little boy's room. You know, you've got that fire engine red. His car is, his bed is shaped like a race car, and so on. And we compare that to the traditional stereotypical little girls' rooms that are typically pink or purple or both, and have a very soft, delicate, innocent, and fragile appearance. Here you see ballerinas and flowers, nothing really denoting any type of movement. Even the car on the ground that's under the bed is a colored pink. Now, toys that they play with when they get older that are marketed to children. On the left, boys are always marketed toys that involve very active and or athletic and aggressive play, whereas on the right we see two little girls, again, pink ad nauseum or purple, and they are wearing frilly dresses, playing dress up, which is socializing their gender schema, that is what they need to be concerned with. This was a rain gear set that was being sold by Walmart one year. And so on the left, we see a rain slicker for a little boy that mimics a fireman or a firefighter's uniform. And so you've got the hat that looks like a firefighter's hat, and the jacket is in red with yellow flames. And again, I want to draw your attention back to adjectives. What do you think of when you think of a firefighter? You think of bravery, you think of heroism, you think of strength and skill. And on the right, this is the identical ensemble made of the same material, but in the little girl's version, it's purple with pink butterflies. And again, butterflies compared to a firefighter, there's a world of difference in what's being communicated. Same thing is seen on t-shirts for little boys over and over again. We have what's shown here is jackhammers and garbage trucks, bulldozers, fire engines. We often have dinosaurs, things that are big and powerful. Whereas on little girl shirts, we are looking at Disney princesses over and over again. The words, the text that reads on one of the pink t-shirts here is that my daddy can fix anything. Well, when she was a baby, she's wearing a t-shirt that says daddy's little girl, and now my daddy can fix anything. Not that she can, or that even that mom can. These are very common images we see, that boys are very outspoken, whereas girls are taught to talk with their smile, right? This relates to a concept in women's studies known as the conspiracy of silence. And we see this over and over again, that girls and women are taught to be seen and not heard, just like children. Whereas the boy's image, as you can see, his mouth is wide open and he's sort of in your face shouting at you. Males tend to save lives, like again, this little boy riding in this fire truck, this toy fire truck, whereas you compare that to a little girl's pink and purple makeup vanity because they are taught that it's appearance that matters. Males focus on force. A lot of guns are, guns, action figures, and the guns and the action figures have gotten bigger and stronger and more pronounced. So it's all about weaponry and force, whereas the little girl, instead of focusing on force and power, females are taught to focus on fantasized power, magic, fairies, things along this line. So here you see her playing with her pink and purple fairy princess castle, and so on. This is one of my favorite images to denote what I'm trying to get at with this lecture. And here we're seeing two t-shirts, one for a boy, one for a girl. This little boy's t-shirt on the left, excuse me, really denotes the idea of male entitlement. And the copy reads this. On the shirt it says, "Toddler's rules. If I like it, it's mine. If it's in my hand, it's mine. If it looks like mine, it's mine. If I think it's mine, it's mine. And everything else is mine too." Now, it does say toddler's rules, but notice that the shirt is in blue and red. Now, on the right, we have an image that says girl power. So you might be thinking, well, there, we've got some real concrete power for this girl. But actually, this image is a backlash toward power. It is only symbolic. It's not concrete, because there's nothing remotely powerful about this image. We've got a pink Care Bear with a heart for a nose and a rainbow on its belly. The word power is sort of tilted to the side, going vertically down the image. So even though it says power, it does not mean that it is powerful. Now, when we see images in media where boys and girls are paired together, we frequently see males taking the leading role and the females sitting passively next to them or as spectators. And in this case, she's riding along while he's in the driver's seat. Now, what we're socializing them in terms of their gender roles in life, we see here boys are marketed toys like this construction bench where they have tools, they're building something, they're manipulating their environment, they're being creative, whereas on the right-hand side, we see an example of the way that girls are constantly being domesticated, in this case, playing with baby dolls. Of course, cooking is big, and these play kitchens are always marketed to little girls. She's wearing an apron, she's smiling, she's happy as punch as she's cooking and washing dishes and preparing things in the kitchen. Now, when we do see a boy and girl paired together with kitchen sets, more often than not, you see the little girl actually working in the kitchen, preparing food, while in this image, the good example, you see the little boy sitting down and being served. Now, one thing I did that was a very interesting part of my study was that one year I took a Toys R Us toy catalog, a Christmas catalog. And I got my pencil and paper, and I sat down with this catalog, and I went through, and I wrote down all of the titles of toys that were being marketed to boys and all the titles of toys that were being marketed to little girls. And so after I listed them all, things like Big Muscle, Wheelie King, Rescue Heroes Action, Fire Truck, Mighty Machine, Snowmobiles, and on the girls' toy pages, it was Twinkle Light, Cinderella Carriage, Baby Comfort Doll Set, things like that. I made my list, but then what I did was I went through and I highlighted just the adjectives, not even the title of the toy, just the adjectives. And if I read this list of adjectives, you can start to see how this messaging becomes so repetitive and has such a profound and deep effect on gender schemas that, most of us aren't even aware that's happening. So let's just read down these adjectives on the male side really quickly. We have things like big, muscle, king, rescue, hero, action, mighty, fix it up, battle ram, command, pursuit, dominate, battleize, power, attack, force, skill, challenge. Whoa, mama, that's a lot of power. Now let's read the adjectives that are associated with the little girl toys. Twinkle, baby comfort, Polly Pocket, style, petite, so soft, little, glitter and glow, glamour, little princess, littlest pet shop, strawberry short cake. So little princess, littlest and short. You can start to see, I hope, that these things are very, very profound and very obvious. Once you open your eyes to it, it's going to be hard not to see. Now, back in the 1950s, we had this image of the Susie homemaker, the nice mom, well-dressed, well-groomed, in the kitchen with her little apron. And, you know, we think, oh, we've come such a long way from that. But over half a century later, we are still seeing these images, as this one in this contemporary kitchen of a mom socializing her daughter how to cook in the kitchen. And this goes on through our teenage years, into preteen years, well into adulthood. While we might market things like toy cleaning sets for little girls, of course, most women know that when they grow into adulthood, especially if they have full-time jobs, that being responsible for over 85% of domestic tasks, and that's a current statistic, is nothing more than drudgery. And women become overworked and overtired at that prospect. So you have to realize we're socializing that from a very young age. And we're socializing males, too, that this is something that their female partners are supposed to be responsible for. Now, the last image that I want to unpack with you, and then we'll be closing this lecture, is this contemporary ad for Swiffer WetJet, which is a mop, right? And in this image, there is a lot to unpack, but overall, I'd like you to sort of maybe pause the audio or pause the video and take a look at it, and then go ahead and push play and listen to how I am going to deconstruct this image and see how many things you notice before I list them for you. Well, let's begin by, go ahead, pause now, and do your thing. Write down what you see, what might be the issues here, and then push play, and I'm going to keep on going here. The copy reads, "He made it in the kitchen and ate it in the dining room. With Swiffer WetJet, both floors were clean before he was." Now, what we see here is a woman smiling, just pleased as punch, wearing a pink t-shirt, wearing light pink pants, and holding a Swiffer WetJet like one might hold an assault rifle. You know, this is her weapon against life. Notice that the entire background, floors, table, walls, shelving, is all purple. Now, we know that purple and pink schematically triggers what is associated with women. So without saying so, what we're saying is that women are responsible for cleaning up. Now, also notice the little boy sitting at the table. He is eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and making a hideous mess. We all know that peanut butter and jelly is sticky and gooey, and it's the last thing that you want all over your furniture and walls and floor, right? Well, the copy reads, "He made it in the kitchen and ate it in the dining room." Well, what does that mean? He made it in the kitchen and then walked across the house into the dining room. But you know what? Both floors were clean before he was. So not only does he have the privilege and entitlement to sit there, make a mess, drag it around the house, but it's the woman's responsibility to not only clean, but do it fast. Right? Get that done. You know, it's actually an incredibly offensive message. And most people would look at this and not be able to peel back those onions to that degree. Now, there's one last thing that's really obvious in this image, and a lot of people overlook it, but did any of you notice that this woman happens to be barefoot? Now, I'm sure that most of you are too young to remember the adage from decades ago that used to say that women should be kept barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen. That's how we keep women in their place. So the fact that she's barefoot is actually a trope that speaks back to that sexist mentality of keeping women in their place. Now, what do I want to leave you with in terms of a summary and takeaway? Everyone should be thinking critically and being mindful of all of these types of implicit messages that we're exposed to in marketing, in products, in advertising, because they have a profound impact on gender schemas and socialization. You want to avoid binary, stereotypical products marketed to kids that depict structural inequalities and can actually lead to the creation and perpetuation of those inequalities. So in essence, you need to be mindful of what you model. Well, thanks everybody. I hope you found this lecture interesting, valuable, And I'll see you next time. Thanks, everybody.